So tyre changing day today. It's a lovely day for it, look. Nice drying weather. Very windy. So basically what we have is this the combat rim. I've taken all the bolts off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up and then I'm going to use some of this Johnson's baby powder. I know that you should put a liner in there, or some people advocate putting a liner in there to stop the inner tube getting pinched, but I've done it on 3 of the wheels now with Johnson's baby powder, and I don't think you need the liner. Just be careful as you do them up. So let me just split the camera around so you can see what's going on. There we go. So I've undone all the bolts. Point to note with these bolts, you see the shape of them. You see that little bit at the bottom there? Yeah, that's the way they go down into the rim. So look, like that. And they go on, and they sit in this little bit here. Yeah, just that little relief there. Can you see it? Okay. And then you tighten those down. And you tighten those down to a torque of FT. You'll know what I mean. Right, time for the inner tube as well. So here's the inner tube. What I did was, I went on eBay after a tip from a very good friend, and I got some inner tubes for motorcycle tyres. Because apparently they're the ones to have. They fit just as well. So that inner tube is going to be covered in Johnson's baby powder, which is also going to cover around the outside here. Yeah, so it gives it a little bit of slippage when I do the when I put it all together. Right, next stage. So the split rim is now split, and that's what we're left with. Okay. So all this is where the make sure there's no bit sticking out here, because that's where the inner tube is going to go, and the valve is going to go through here. And there is a right way and a wrong way of putting the inner tube up or into the tyre, which I'll attempt to show you. But you can see here, these wheels I got from Dallas Autos, so they've got a nice finish on them anyway. And what I've done is I've just sprayed them up with a bit of mix number 1, as you can see from here. There we go. And they do very nice, very enduring paint. And the mix I got from Universal Jeep Supplies. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this tyre and fit it on there. What I try to do as well is keep the valve this side towards me, and that I can get my fingers underneath at the back here on the table, so I can actually make sure the valve gets pulled through properly and the inner tube's the right way up. Right, next stop, tyre on. So before the tyre goes on, you need to get your trusty talcum powder, and what I do is I just knock a little bit all the way around, like so. Yeah, and just make sure there's nothing in the tyre if you've got them stored for a long time. I'll just throw a bit in there as well. Okay, and that just helps the inner tube move a little bit. So there we go. Get that all nicely rubbed in, and your hand should slide around there. There we go. Just take the excess off of there. Right, so hopefully now, when I put the tyre on, I can get the inner tube in. So this is the inner tube that I got. There you go. 600, 650, 16, TL15. Okay. Nice brand new inner tube. Yeah, and you can see the valve there. And you see the way, if I open that up a little bit, you see the way the valve's sitting. Right, and it's presenting itself upwards with the majority. It's presenting itself up with the majority of the trip tube here. So that valve is going to go into that hole, and then that tube is going to get backfilled into the tyre. But before I do that, good old baby powder, and sprinkle it on my tube, like so. And flip it over, and sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. There we go. Done. Right. Flip it the right way back again. Now I don't mind how much I've got on this, And I need to take this little valve thingy off here. This is just to say that they've tested the inner tube, and it's been passed the test. And then what I do is I leave the cap on while I put it in and feed it in, and I take the cap off once it's in and ready. So next stop is to feed it in. I'll stop halfway so I can show you. Okay, so as you can see, I've started to put in the inner tube, and then what I find, you've got to be careful of the studs not tearing the tube. So what I tend to do is I fold it in half and then just feed it in gently like so. Okay, but I've got to be careful because I want this to sit in the right attitude into the hole. So that's what I'm going to do next, is get that in the hole, and then the rest of the tube should be able to be fitted in by folding it in half and then tucking it under, and I'll show you what it's like when it's done. Okay, so I've had to start again because I noticed that when this was sitting in the hole, it wasn't sitting at the correct attitude, which is this attitude. Alright, so the valve downwards, yeah, will sit nicely in that hole, and then this gives us plenty of room to expand here. Alright, so it's a mistake that I made from the previous video, which I've only realised when you start to try and fit the rest of it, and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit, the valve here doesn't sit right within the hole and doesn't sit at the right angle. So rather than keep pressing on, stop, take it out, start again, and get it right. So that is now going to sit attitude in there, and I'll make sure I pull it out from the back there. So you see, I'm halfway around doing this. Look, can you see that still to go in? Yeah, but you can see how this is sitting just nicely all the way around like that until we get to the valve here, and the valve is just attitude in to the bottom here, and I can pull it in, make sure that it's actually sat there nicely. That's how it should fit. Okay, and then what I do is I just fold it in half and just feed it in over the top of the bits and pieces there. Take the top half that I folded and just push that under the tyre, and you can, it's difficult to do with one-handed with I'm filming, but you can lift the tyre up just a little bit, just to give you a little bit more room. There you go. So it's just about, and then just come back and check, and then I'll do this bit here, and it should fit nicely. Get the tyre in there, and the stud. There you go, that's perfect. Right, so that top half, what I'm doing is I'm just running my finger around to make sure that top half sits in the tyre. So now we're in an attitude like this. Okay, so we have our valve in here, yeah, and that's in the right attitude because it's sitting, everything's sitting nice and comfy. Alright, I'll just give that a little bit of a wipe off so it doesn't look as though I've been trying to smuggle cocaine or something. It's only talcum powder. There we go. Right, okay. So what you've got to be careful of is when you put the top bit back on, this bit here, so you've got some sharp little tangs there. You've just got to be careful you don't catch the edge as you're putting it in, and it's got to sit nicely. So what I do is I just push that back and give myself as much room as possible. Just move it around so it's nice and even. And this is going to take two hands, so I'm going to lower this on first and then I'll show you what I do. So I've got this very useful tool, alright, that is a, can you see that? 17mm socket that I can fit on. It's got a handle that twists, yeah, alright, but also as you wind it on, as it gets harder, you can extend the handle and give it a little bit more pressure, but we're not worried about that at the moment. All we're trying to do is wind these nuts on to bring it down nice and even. Sorry if you're feeling sick. Okay, there we go. I'm going to do this with all of these and wind them down nice and even. Right, it's just starting to bite now, so come to the opposite one and then do the same again. I'll save you the pain of going through all of it. So all the nuts are down reasonably tight, not too tight, but they've all been evenly done. So I've taken the back of the wheel and now joined it with the front of the wheel as evenly as I can. And then what I've done is I've got some good old talcum powder, or Colombian nose candy if you're in the States, and just gone round here just so that it gives that bead a little bit of smooth lubrication to pick up. And then what I'm going to do is, underneath I've got myself a bike pump with one of these valves, right, a Schrader valve fitting, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook that onto the valve underneath, and then I'm going to put about 10 pound of pressure in. There should be 35 foot-pound, so I'm just going to put this up to about 10 and then hopefully what will happen is that bead will start to come up as well, and then I'm just going to keep going, make sure that I've not got any leaks. Okay, I'll get that done now. Alright, so those that know me, I'm not the fittest bloke in the world. So this bead here, as soon as you start pumping, and the reason I use these is because I can just listen and find out if it's pinched anywhere and get a reading. So all I'm going to do is take it up 10 or 20 pound or 20 foot-pound, and that bead will slowly start to come up. You see, I'll get my finger in here now. It's not going to pop up very quickly because you're only putting it in slowly. Yeah. So all this is doing as well is giving the inner tube a chance to settle. So I'll check my valve underneath and make sure that's not moved, it's not crimped, it's not bent at a different angle or anything like that. And then get my exercise for today. So we're currently reading 0 at the moment. Got no air's going in. I can't hear any leaking out. And this bead already up this side, at the back edge, is risen up. So I know the inner tube is doing its job. That sounds good at the moment. Fingers crossed. You can see this bead now. I can't get my finger in there, it's coming round. Then what I do is I get the good old hammer, rubber facing, and I just sit, give it a tap, just to kind of shock everything into movement. And then while it's there, I'll just make sure a couple of these are tweaked up. As you can see by tapping it's made a few loose. I don't want to put a large amount of air in here with these that are loose. Alright, so just make sure they're alright. Already that bead's nearly closed at the side here. I'll give you a zoom up on that in a minute. So we're only reading about 5 foot-pound at the moment. Now we're going up 10. Right, I'll take that out for a moment. There we go. See, that bead is closed. I now can't get my finger in. Oh, there it is. I now can't get my finger in. The bead's closed all the way around. So, now that your presenter is out of breath because he's unfit, there we go. You can see the bead tyres come up. We've got about 20 pound in here, 20 foot-pound in here pressure. You can see. Okay. The bead sat all the way nicely around there. I'm just checking it there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, apart from rub off some of this baby powder and get that clean, and get the wheel a bit of a rub as well, because once I've tightened all these nuts up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray them green, because you can see, I'll zoom in now, you can see I've just exposed a bit of metalwork there. So what I'm going to do is, oh sorry, hit the wrong button then, I'm going to give them a little bit of a spray up, and it also sprays the threads, because it knows then, it tells me as well that that what I've done is I've done the nuts up to torque, and that they're done up when I finish them. So it's by way of informing me that actually it protects it, and I've done them up as well. So that is a combat rim and how to change a tyre. So thank you very much, John Gray, for the tyres. And these are, let me just zoom in on that, military 8-ply. You can see that. Sorry if it's upside down, but there you go. 616. Okay, and that is basically that. So now what I've got to do is tighten these up, and again I'll go this side, that side, this side, that side, this side, that side, and I'll just do opposites all the way around until they're all tight. And then once they're tight, I'll give them a spray up. Bye for now. So there we have it. They've all got a little blatter paint. Okay, they've all been torqued down. And this is the back of the wheel. I'm not too fussed about finish on this. In fact, I'm not too fussed about the finish on the front of the wheel. Although that is very, very nice with the rattle can as well. So I'm very, very pleased with that. And tyres in there nicely. And the valve's nicely poking through at the right angle. So I know that I've got the inner tube incorrect. Or incorrectly, I should say, not incorrect. And that's it. That's how you do combat rims, which I do love doing, but not too many, thanks very much. That's 4, that'll do for me, thanks very much. Right, bye for now. So I should just add, with these combat rims, what I do is I get them up to about 20 foot-pound with the hand pump, which helps me lose a little bit of this gut, and then I'll put them on the vehicle, make sure they're on the vehicle properly, and then what I'll do is I'll take them up to 35 foot-pound, and I'll leave them. And I'll leave them for a few days sat on the vehicle, with the vehicle sat on the ground at 35 foot-pound, and then I go and check and just make sure that I haven't got any leaks, that I haven't pinched any inner tube or anything like that, and I've got to take it all off again and do it all again. Yes, I should probably use those inserts. Yes, everyone's probably going to comment on that, but to be honest with you, I've had no problems with these whatsoever. But there we go. Right, hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it's explained a combat rim. Bye. So I forgot to mention, now that I've done the tyres, they're down here, look. They're going to go onto my Jeep, but well, when they're on the Jeep, I'll do the 35 foot-pound tyre pressure and leave them, make sure they're not losing any pressure whatsoever. I've got a digital tyre pressure gauge, so I'll check that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run them around the block, check the tyre pressures again, make sure that the tyres are settled on the wheel, and the inner tube's not shifting at all inside or anything like that. And then once I'm perfectly happy with everything that's done, then I'll take them down the tyre shop and I'll get them to balance up the wheels as near as, damn it, being combat rims. I'm not been doing 70 mile an hour in a 1942 Jeep, so I will get them to balance it up as best I can, and then that's it. Job's a good one. All right, and then the spare wheels are down in the corner there, and the ones I'm going to take off here I'll leave as spares for the moment. I've just got to check because the bolt holes are slightly elongated, so I don't know if I can do anything with them, but another good friend of mine said just change them out because you don't want them, the wheels flinging off, especially when I'm taking my other half of my daughter out in the Jeep as well. So but there we go. I hope you enjoyed my video. If I'm filming it in this, because it's easier to hold my phone, so once I get the camera sorted out I might even do some more, you never know. Bye for now.